Hello everybody, welcome to this verbaling class with me. My name is Amy and today's class is part of my series on grammar problems or common grammar difficulties that lots of students have. I've called it Getting a Grip on Grammar Gripes, and today we're going to be looking at the infinitive versus the ing form of the verb. So it can cause a lot of confusion when you have two verbs next to each other. It's easy to figure out the first verb, but the second can often be a source of confusion. So do we use the infinitive form or do we use the ing form? So today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the specific verbs which use either the infinitive or the ing and talking about these two so that we can really get some practice in. One of the problems with this topic is that really there's not very many rules to help you. It's a case simply of learning which verbs take the ing and which verbs take the infinitive. And so the purpose of this class is really to identify which is which with the most common verbs in English. If you have questions about specific verbs, then you're very welcome to ask. And what we will do is spend most of the class practicing so that we can get it really right. And when you leave this class, you can hopefully go off and at least have a few more of these verbs clear in your mind for the next stage of your English speaking. So do come along in. If you'd like to join us, we'll be talking about grammar. It's a light-hearted class, not too serious and scary, just so that we can have a bit of a practice with these that can often cause problems, and you can go away feeling a little bit more confident. So do come on in. While we're waiting for the students who've already booked slots, I'll come and say hi to you guys in a moment. I just want to let you know about my Facebook page. That's for Verbally. It's quite a handy way to keep in touch with teachers here on Verbling, because if you are a Facebook addict, or even if you just go on your Facebook account now and again, just keep an eye on what's going on here, and it reminds you about English and gets you back in touch with English if you've veered off from the road. You can also see some useful resources. I've got a couple of videos on there which help you speak in a British accent, or some interesting stuff that I find during the week when I'm researching classes and stuff like that. I post on Facebook. Sometimes if a student has done a particularly good piece of writing or shares something really interesting, I'll also put it on there. So if you like me on Facebook, you'll receive all those little updates on your Facebook news feed. If you want to find out something a little bit more specific, so if you're interested in attending more of my classes, or if you'd like a private tutoring session, just you and me, one-on-one, or if you can, then you can go to my Verbling teacher page, which is the second link there. You can do this with any of the teachers, check them out, find out more about them, or even get in touch with us via the messaging feature. You can find all that there, so do go ahead and check those links out when you have time. Okay, let's see who we've got in class this morning, where you are. To talk about the ing versus infinitive, which is a bit of a tense topic for students, I think. Always good to revise this, even if you feel confident already. So who do we have here, first of all? Carlos, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you, Carlos. Now, have I met you before?
No, this is my first time with you in a class.
Well, that's excellent news. I love meeting new students, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Where are you from, Carlos?
I'm from Costa Rica.
Ah, Costa Rica. You know, I don't think I've ever had a student from Costa Rica before, and it's always been like the one place I absolutely desperately would love to go in Latin America that speaks Spanish, because Brazil is now quite high on my list too. But Costa Rica, what's it like living in Costa Rica?
What, sorry? What?
What's it like to live in Costa Rica, or living in Costa Rica? Haha, that's the topic of today's class. Is it a good country to live in?
Well, living in Costa Rica, many retired people from other countries actually live here because they prepare, but especially in near to the beach in a quiet environment.
Yeah.
They like
Ah,
to live
uh,
without the big cities that in other countries.
All right. So, what's the best thing about your country, according to you, Carlos?
The best thing, well, the best thing, maybe I think that in general people are friendly. Is one of the best, most known things that my country
hello.
are.
See?
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for coming to the class. It's lovely to meet you. Welcome. Thank you for telling us a bit about Costa Rica. All right. Who else do we have? Raphael, how are you doing today, this evening?
Hi, Amy. I'm fine, thank you. And you? How are you
Yeah.
this morning?
This morning, just it's 6 minutes past 11. So I actually just had my coffee, which means I'm feeling great, Raphael, for at least the next
11.
hour. Yeah,
Having
11.
coffee at 11.
Yeah. Well, no, I had
It's
it probably
almost
about 10:30.
it's almost lunchtime.
Yeah, lunchtime. Although for me, lunchtime's going to be just after 1 because I've got 2 classes to teach first. So I had to fill up. I actually had a big Danish pastry as well, which is probably why I'm feeling so great because it was delicious.
I see.
How was your Tuesday?
It was okay. It
All right.
was challenging, tiresome. New things to learn, new things to see, to do. Every day is a new challenge. It's a new. Everything is new.
Well, yeah, that's true actually. When you say tiresome, I just want to point this out. You may already know this, but if you say tiresome, you actually mean that it's tiring in a negative way, right? Like it's kind of boring, gets on your nerves a little bit, like oh, kind
That's
of
exactly
feeling.
what I meant.
All right, excellent. Just checking. In that case, poor you. But yeah. Well done for using such an excellent word, and the other students now know that they can use that too if they've had a tiresome day. I haven't had a tiresome day yet, though, so I won't say that. All right, well, welcome, Raphael. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Alvaro, you're back. Are you okay?
Yes, hi. Sorry,
No
some
problem.
problems at the office. Sorry.
No problem at all. How are you, Alvaro? Have I met you before?
No, this is
Well,
my first time in
good
the
to meet
classroom.
you. We talked over each other. It's lovely to meet you, Alvaro. Where are you from?
I'm from San Juan de Pasto. It's a city in the south of Colombia, but
Hmm.
I'm live in Bogota, in the capital of Colombia. I live in Bogota since uh, 27, maybe
Hmm.
around 10 years ago.
All right. And we tend to say, before we get to 2010, so the numbers below 10, we tend to say 2000 and rather than 2007. You can, but it's just a bit more kind of common to say 2007. And then when we get to the double digits, then we start saying 2010, 2011. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Just as a side note. What's it like living in Bogota?
Sorry, please repeat me.
What's it like to live in Bogota?
For most people, it's difficult. It's a big city, thousands of environment problems, a lot of traffic, stress, large distance between home and work and office. But for me, it's I don't know. Maybe I learned to love to live in Bogota and make something to change that situation. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
I love to live in Bogota.
All right. Well, I'm very glad to hear that. It's always nice to hear what it's like in other parts of the world. That's one of the things I love about Verbling. You get to talk to people who are somewhere else right now. And I was saying to my friends, often when you watch the news or you hear about other countries, but you never really get a personal perspective on them. when you listen to the news or read stuff on the internet. And verbling's amazing for that, because you get to meet the people who are living there right now and see what it's like for them. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's get on to the topic at hand today. All right, first of all, I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about this topic? Is this something that you have struggled with a lot, that you feel that you've conquered, that you still don't really know for sure, that you have no idea whatsoever about? Can you give me an idea of where you're at with this topic? So let me just reinforce it again. When we have two verbs in English next to each other, when you use two verbs together in a sentence, it can be difficult to figure out whether the second verb you use comes in the infinitive, that's the to plus the verb in its natural state, basically. So to live, to buy, to eat, that's the infinitive. Or the ing form of the verb, which I tend to like saying instead of the gerund, because it's a bit of a weird word and it makes it nice and clear. So I'll put those two in the chat box. Either you can have to live or you can have living. Now, when I was asking you questions about your place of residence before, I said to Carlos, what's it like living in Costa Rica? Or what's it like to live in Costa Rica? The setup for that was what's it like? And the verb that comes before basically tells us whether we can use the infinitive or the ing form of the verb. So in a moment I'm going to give you some examples so that you can get stuck into this a bit. But just tell me a little bit your kind of impression about this grammar problem. I'll ask Raphael first of all. How do you feel about it, Raphael?
Well, it's very troublesome. Sometimes I have difficulties in order when I try to say which sentence I have to choose.
Yep.
I have some difficulties when I'm trying to create sentences as you explained, use either the infinitive or the ing verb.
Okay. So, although your English is very advanced, you speak really beautifully. Your English is excellent, but you still find this a bit of a problem now and again. Yeah?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Let's ask Carlos. How do you feel about this, Carlos? Have you talked about it before? Have you thought about it before?
How I feel about the topic, about the ing and the infinitive.
Yep.
Well, I always have doubts about the topic because I don't know exactly when use ing and when use infinitive. I studied in a grammar course, but to be honest, I didn't learn good when use any word a word in especially the gerund, the ing is the most difficult for me.
Yep. All right, great. That's good to know. Thank you, Carlos. And how about you, Alvaro?
Okay, that's a great topic, and because I have problems to choose between that options.
All right. So all of you are still finding this tricky. Now, I'm pretty certain that the problem with this and the problem with a lot of English grammar is that there are a huge lack of rules. English seems to be, I don't know why exactly, it may be because it's developed and changed so much over time. It just has very, very few rules to help you. So a lot of it is just a case of memorizing different things, and this is the problem with this particular grammar point, because there are certain verbs that you use that must have the infinitive coming after them, and there are certain verbs that you must have the ing coming after them. And there aren't really many sort of rules as a kind of generalization that you can use to help you, but really it's a case of knowing which verb you're using and what comes after it. So the purpose of this class really is to go through some of the most common, those verbs that you probably use every time you open your mouth in English, and some of the verbs that you'll use at least 4 times a week, so that you can get the hang of some really, really important ones and clear it up. And gradually, as you learn a new verb, it's quite a good idea to find out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a screen share with you. I've got some common verbs here, and I would like you to help me decide which we have to use out of these. So take a look. I'll number them. That makes it easier. Alright, so the verbs that we're using, the verb that's important is the first verb that you use, right? And the first verb is underlined. So we've got want, learn, and offer. Now, it doesn't matter which tense these are in. As you can see, this is the present, we've got the continuous, then we've got the past, and it doesn't matter. The point is that whichever verb you use here is the thing that tells you what you have to use coming after it, okay? So let's go through these examples, and I'd like you to tell me which is the correct one. So I'll get Raphael to go first. Raphael, number 1.
I think it's the first one. I want to speak to the manager.
Correct. Well done. So we'll get rid of speaking. Okay, number 2 is for Carlos.
Okay. She's learning to ride a horse.
Very good. Well done. And Alvaro, your turn. Number 3.
He offered helping us wash up.
Unfortunately, no. It's actually he offered to help us wash up.
Ouch.
No worries. It was could have been one of either of the two. However, we've got these 3 verbs here. I'll type them out. Oh, this is annoying. See if I can get a bigger font. Want, learn, and offer. Okay, these 3 verbs that you can start making a list somewhere. I don't know what you guys want to do, but they are always followed by 2 plus infinitive. 2 plus infinitive. Okay.
Always. When we want to use that word, or
Yep.
we have to use the infinitive.
Exactly. Okay. You can never say, I want speaking to the manager, or I want riding a horse. You can never use the ing with these.
Okay.
So, want is obviously a really common one. And learn is probably something that you use quite a bit because you are students, right, of English at least. I don't know if you're students of anything else. What we're going to do is talk about some more verbs that come under this category. So that we can start making a list. Now, I'm going to give you the ones that I feel are the most handy because they're probably the ones that you're going to use all the time. However, it's important to remember this list I'm going to give you today is not the be-all and end-all, okay? All right, now what we're at the moment doing is leaving out the possibility of an object. So I just want to point out that some verbs need to have an object before the infinitive. I'll give you an example. Okay. The verb, for example, to expect, right, needs an object. So I expected him to win the race. We've got the verb expect. This is an infinitive. It needs the infinitive to follow, but it also has to have an object. An object here is him. Then we've got the infinitive, okay? I just want to point out that that's another possibility, but we're not going to look at that right now. I will make it smaller and put it down the bottom of the page. What we're focusing on now are the basic 2 infinitive verbs. So I want to do something. I have learned to speak Spanish. He's offered to help us wash up. Has everyone got that so far? Yeah? Excellent. I'm going to count silence as like a chorus of yeses. Okay. Other verbs that come into this. Does anyone want to suggest any that they already know and quite sure about? First of all. No? All right, it's
It's a
quite a
question.
diff.
Sorry, can you repeat? Yeah, I was writing the verbs.
No
Did
problem.
you make a question?
Yeah, Carlos, my question was, do any of you have any verbs that you want to add to this list that you know for certain are followed by to plus infinitive? So I'm going to add some more verbs in a moment, but just before I do, I'd like to offer you guys the opportunity.
To speak.
Okay, so put it into a sentence for me, Raphael.
I'm trying to speak, but you don't let me.
Okay, good. Now I'm glad you brought up this example. In fact, the verb there that you mentioned is try, not speak, because it's the first verb that we're talking about, right? It's the first verb you use that determines whether you use the to plus infinitive or the ing. So speak is a verb that can come after. So you said, I'm trying to speak. So trying is therefore the verb that depends. Do we say, I'm trying speaking, or do we say, I'm trying to speak? Can you see the difference?
Uh,
Let me type it for you.
so 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 you said that is the verb which precedes the is which determine the if we have to use speaking or speak.
Speak. Exactly right. If you have a look at these, I can add this one on here because it's a good one. I can ever get the right hit. I'm going to change it to that. So, you said, I'm trying to speak, right? English. If you have a look at what I've done up here, I've underlined the verb that's important for us to know because want, learn, and offer, and as well in this case try, is the one that determines what comes next. And after try, yes, you have to have the infinitive. So I can add it onto this list. But it's try that we're looking at, not speak, because you might say, I'm trying to eat, or I'm trying to finish my homework before 9 o'clock, right? So you inadvertently gave us another verb, try, which was great, but I just want to make that clear. So it's the first verb that you use in the
Right.
sentence that determines which comes next, okay? All right, so does anyone else want to give any more examples? Just,
Have,
First verb.
pardon?
have to.
Have to, okay. Excellent. So let's put have. And can you give me an example sentence?
I have to do my homework.
Absolutely. You can't say I have doing my homework. So well done. Great example. Any others?
With infinitive.
Yep.
I need
Love.
to go to.
All right, hold on a second. So Carlos, who was speaking just then? Was it Carlos?
Love is infinitive
Love.
or
Yep.
not or gerund.
Okay, so love actually can be both, and we're going to leave that to one side for the moment because I just want to focus on ones that we only really use in infinitive by themselves, okay?
Infinitive.
So that's a good one. Yes, you can say I love to
No,
do something.
maybe.
Yep, love can be actually can be both. So I'll put it here because yes, I love to
Okay.
eat chocolate on Saturdays. Raphael, another
Okay.
one?
I need to go to the bathroom.
Yep, you can't say I need going to the bathroom, right? Okay, good. All right. Yep, very good.
Need.
Any
Okay.
others?
Listen.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Uh, uh, with the I like to listen to the professor speaking.
All right, very
No,
good. Now,
it's
that's
not a verb.
yeah, that's the correct sentence. I know this is confusing, but it's good that you're giving me these examples so that we can clarify. Listen to, yes, you're right. It has to coming after it, but then we need a noun, right? Listen to music or
Mm-hmm.
listen to my teacher talking. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
first verb. We don't say I listen to go to school or I listen going to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So listen will leave out. Right, I'm going to give you guys some more examples of ones I think are probably useful or handy, and also ones that perhaps maybe you haven't used for fear of using them incorrectly, but now you can. So let's put another column up here. I'm going to say choose and hope, ask,
Hope you can ask.
um,
Prepare. Agree. Decide. Expect.
Alright, now these are probably a list of ones I think maybe English students use quite often.
Would like.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe this one too.
Get.
Or even
Forget. But we can use get in both or only in infinitive, because I think that I have heard getting, right? Getting.
yep, you've heard getting, but the problem is that we're talking about get, and then whichever form get is in, is the next verb. For example, last week I got to meet Barack Obama for the first time, right? To get to do something means that you've been able to have the opportunity of doing it. So if you think of get as the first verb in a series of two verbs, then that's the kind of context I'm putting it in.
Okay.
Another one. All right. Now there are some that are able to be used with both. But we're going to not worry about them too much today. Because we haven't got a huge amount of time. What I want to do is to go through these verbs, and I'd like you guys to pick one of them and give me a sentence, all right? So you have to use this verb first, and then you have to make a sentence. For example, I really want to go to eat out next Saturday at my favorite restaurant. Okay, so that's want. Raphael, you go first. Pick a verb. If I were you, I'd pick the one that you're not sure about so you can have a practice using it and get some feedback. Off you go. Pick a verb and then let me know.
So do I have to write down? Or
No, you can just tell me. I'll write it in the chat box, possibly.
I am preparing to climb a tree.
Excellent.
Okay.
Was there something going to come after that?
No, just yes.
All right, nice example. So we've done prepare. We've done want. Okay, Carlos, your turn. Pick a verb.
Hope. I hope to visit my best friend tomorrow.
Excellent. Brilliant. Well done. All right, it's your turn, Alvaro.
Yes, I'm here.
Could you?
I'm choose agree.
Okay.
I don't know. I agree to choose that way, that right way.
Okay. I agree to choose that
The
right
right,
way. The right
the
way?
right
The
way.
right way. Yeah, okay.
Between left and right. I don't know.
All right, very good, guys. Doing well. Raphael, your turn again.
Uh, I I offered to let me see. Can I say I offered to help that old lady to cross the street? To cross the
Perfect.
street.
Yep, well done. Very good. So, oh, forgotten what I was going to say. Might come back to me. Carlos.
Would like. I would like to speak English fluently very soon.
Well, you're on your way to success, Carlos. Excellent example. That one's one of the
I hope
most
so.
useful. Yeah, of course. Keep studying. You're on your way, definitely. Would like to is a really good one to remember because not only is it polite, but it's one that you can use in all types of situations. So excellent choice, Alvaro.
Okay, forget. I forget to kiss my girl on his birthday, on her birthday.
Oh, you forget or you forgot. So, are you talking about something that happened in the past, Alvaro?
Hello?
Hello, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, sorry, I think it cut off just for a moment. Did you mean forget or forgot?
I forgot.
All right, very good. I forgot to kiss my girl on her birthday. Very good example. Okay, Raphael, your turn.
Uh, uh, I asked my mother for an advice.
Yes, okay, that's absolutely a correct sentence. But what you did is you put an object in here, and that's fine because it can go with an object, this verb or not. But in this case, what I want you to do is leave out an object and go straight to the to plus infinitive. So not ask somebody, but just ask to do something.
Uh, I have to ask you to leave. No, 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 sorry, sorry. Without an object.
hmm Really, it doesn't. It just is without an object is the same. It just doesn't tell me who you're asking, basically. So you can just go straight away with the verb there.
Uh, those disturbing those disturbing people were asked to leave.
Very good. Excellent example. Those disturbing people. All right, great example. Thanks, Raphael. Your other examples were also correct. I just want to reiterate. It's just that because we're focusing on this, I want to try and get the examples kind of clear. Carlos.
I prefer to eat pizza tonight than rice.
All right, excellent. Very good. And Alvaro, last one.
Okay, I choose learn.
Hmm?
I want to learn to fly.
Great. Did you do really?
Sorry?
Do you really want to learn to fly?
It's some part of the lyric of the song.
Ah, okay.
Learn to
Well,
fly.
very cool. All right, we're going to move on, guys, to the next one. Okay? So, as I mentioned before, the verbs that we've got there are used with the infinitive. So we know that they're not going to be in the list that we're about to compile with the ing. Apart from love, which I already mentioned, and I'm just going to double check as I'm waiting for you guys. I haven't put any others in there that can be used at the same. So here we go. We're going to do ing verbs now. So, can you guys think of any that you already know that are used in the gerund form?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. So what we just did in the first section of the class is to choose the verbs here, want, learn, offer, that have to be followed by the infinitive, right? So now what we're going to do is choose the verbs which is not want, learn, or offer, because we know they have to be followed by the infinitive. Instead, the verbs that have to be followed by the ing. So let me give you one example to get you going. Enjoy, right? You can't say I enjoy to eat. You have to say I enjoy eating pizza, for example. Okay? Enjoy is the verb that tells you you must use here ing. So we need some more verbs in this list, basically. What are we going to put in here?
Enjoy plus ing.
Does anybody know any others? We can use that for both, but yeah, I'll put it in here.
I like.
I'm going to put here that in brackets because you can say I like, you can also say I feel like. Just to make this nice and clear, I want you guys to come up with some examples in a moment. Alright, let me give you some, guys, because I know this is difficult. Alright, so these are, let's have a look. Practice is one that you guys probably use quite a bit because you're English learners. You might hear me say, you really need to practice doing these exercises, or you really need to practice speaking, or you really need to practice listening. I will never say practice to speak, right?
Okay.
Another one
Practice.
is suggest. Yep. Mind.
Yes.
As in, do you mind being quiet?
Okay.
Finish. Dislike. Admit. Avoid. Possibly consider.
Admire.
Admire. Let me think about that. Admire doing something? Can you give me an example, Raphael?
Hmm. No, I think it wasn't a good example. Admire.
You can't say I admire eating. Because the meaning is weird. It's like you really can only admire somebody's skill or somebody. So you could maybe put an object in there. I admire her finishing that race. Then it would work. But you can't. Pardon?
Adore.
Adore. Yes, adore would work.
I have a question.
Yep.
When we use these verbs in the present continuous, for example, we have to use I'm practicing and the ing. I'm practicing playing football. I don't know. I'm practicing speaking English.
Yes, that's absolutely fine. I'm practicing playing football is absolutely fine. So it doesn't matter if the first verb's, whichever tense the first verb is in, basically, is fine. Good
The two verbs are in ing.
Yep. But it would probably be more likely that you would say I'm practicing football, simply because having two INGs is slightly unusual, I'd say. But it's correct, yes. Hate. Very
It's very
good.
common to use the first in the first uses in the basic form and the second in the ing.
Sorry, Carlos, can you repeat that? What was your question?
Okay, that that in this case with these verbs it's more common to use the first in basic and the second in the ing, not the two verbs in the ing.
Yes, I mean, it's fine to use that, but I think that native speakers, just for the sake of it sounding funny, but I'm practicing doing my homework, I'm practicing eating. Yeah, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. There's no need for you to worry about that. The main point is that the second verb has to be an ing as well.
Okay.
Alright, so these ones are all kind of, there's a lot of opinion-based ones in here. I approve doing. Nope, approve needs an object, Raphael. You need to approve of something, okay?
Okay.
But yes, after the preposition, sorry, yes, then it's ing. I approve of eating lots of vegetables. Okay, so let's come up with a couple of examples, and then we'll talk about these objects and prepositions. So, Raphael, go for 3. Pick 3 and give me a sentence.
3. Admit.
Is there a train at your house, Carlos?
Sorry?
Sorry, I'm just teasing you. It just sounded like there was a train arriving at your house.
Yes, it's raining now.
Oh, it's rain. Is it rain? My goodness, that's loud.
Raining. It start raining. It's okay. The example is it start raining now. It starts rain.
To rain.
To rain.
Yes, as in the weather.
It's to rain.
Yes, absolutely. But start is the one that you wanted to add on here, right? It started raining. So let's put start, and you're absolutely right. Yes, very good. All right, Raphael, have you picked your 3?
Admit. Consider. And finish.
Okay, go ahead. You need to make 3 sentences for me.
I admit eating too much lately.
Okay, yes, I admit eating too much lately. That actually becomes the kind of point of your sentence. The sentence cannot end there. So I admit eating too much lately is making me fat. Could be okay. Let me just say, I admit eating too much.
Really?
Yep. lately.
So I can't finish. But when I just want to say that I admit eating too much lately, how can I say this sentence? I don't know.
You can say, I admit I have been eating too much lately, or I admit I have eaten too much lately. But you need another subject in there if you're just going to finish the sentence off. So if you go straight from admit to ing, then that's connected. That's the thing you're admitting, and you need some kind of consequence at the end. So I admit studying more is good, or something. It's good for my English.
Okay.
You see the difference?
Yes.
Good example. All right, the next one was consider.
Um, uh, Consider. I consider. I don't know. I consider moving abroad to study in another country.
Okay. I consider moving abroad to another country. This is okay, but you cannot use the present tense.
Exactly. I think it would be more. I am considering moving abroad.
Very good. That's better. The problem is that it's the meaning, Raphael, because to consider something is like thinking about it, is a process, right? You can't consider something on the spot. If you do, it's the same as saying your opinion about something. So it has a slightly different meaning. Like, I consider smoking to be bad. That's your opinion on smoking. But if you've actually been thinking about something, then you need to put it in some kind of an elongated tense, not the present simple, because it's something that takes a little bit of time.
I consider her opinion silly.
Yep, that's fine. But then we haven't used the ing, but that's absolutely fine. I consider her opinion silly. I'll type that as another example. All right, very good. Last one that you chose?
Finish.
Okay.
I finished writing my thesis.
Good. Very good. Oh, and the chat box has had a moment of panic. I will try and type that in a moment. Okay, Carlos, you need to pick 3, and you're going to give me 3 examples too. So have a go. Which one do you want to pick first? Are you still there, Carlos?
Yes, I'm here.
You're just thinking.
I have to give a sentences with one verb.
Yep, so choose one of these and give me a sentence using the ing form.
Okay, sorry, I can hear you for the raining, but I can hear you now.
That's okay. All right.
I hate to be cheating. To be cheating. No, I don't know. I hate to be. I hate. I don't know how to use hate. I hate.
Okay.
Eating.
So yep.
I hate eating. I hate eating fish sometimes.
Perfect. That's a perfect sentence. I hate eating fish sometimes. So you can obviously use hate with like nouns as well, right? I hate, I don't know, heat or I hate chocolate. But if you want to tell me something you hate which is a verb, then you just need to put it in the ing. Like you could say, I hate going to bed early, or
Okay.
I hate getting up early, or anything that you hate doing comes in the ing form, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Good one. Okay, another one.
Uh, I avoid I avoid getting I avoid uh, avoid sleeping uh, more than 8 hours
Very good.
a day.
Very good. Excellent example. I'm trying to type. Oh, the chat box. I avoid sleeping more than 8 hours. And this is exactly the same, right? If you want to say that you avoid a noun, that's also fine. I avoid fish. But if you want to say you avoid
Mhm.
doing something, it comes in the ing. Very good. Okay, last one for you, Carlos.
Eh, he suggests me studying English every day to improve my fluency.
All right, so with this particular version of suggest, we need you to cut out the object because the object doesn't work in that case. So if you're not suggesting, you're not telling me who your suggestion is for, you're simply telling me your suggestion, okay? So I suggest practicing English every day, for example. So, Carlos, do you understand what I mean?
Can you repeat, please? I can hear you. I suggest.
Yep, I suggest practicing English every day.
Okay.
Let me type it here for you.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Because if you put in the object, i.e., if you put in somebody who you're suggesting something to, it changes, okay? So if you want to just make a suggestion, then you can use the ing form. However, if you're making a suggestion to somebody, what happens is that you put the object in the person, and then you actually have to use the infinitive without to. I suggest you practice English every day. So that might be something that you want to make a note of because this confuses a lot of students with the word suggest. The same with recommend. Actually, recommend is slightly different. I'm not going to talk about that today because it's a bit
I
of a
can use. I
subject.
suggest
So
to practice English. Is incorrect.
it's incorrect. You either have to use ing, or if you're going to use an object, who
Okay.
you're suggesting to, you've got to use the infinitive without to. Okay.
Yes.
So that's a good one to
Okay. We
bring
never
up.
use to. In this case, we
No.
suggest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Now, just before we finished, what I do want to point out is that although we've discussed today the verbs that are followed just by the infinitive, the to form, and the verbs that are just followed by the ing, which we've got here, and this is quite a good list for you to write down somewhere and have a little bit of practice with. There are also verbs that are followed by, just as we did suggest, an object and an infinitive. So there are still some exceptions, and this is just one of the things that makes it difficult. There are also some other kind of Hi guys, I don't know if you can hear me still.
Yes, yes, we can.
Hi, Erin.
Alright, I don't know what's happening. Suddenly they said there was an error and they chucked me out of the class, which is great, and now it won't download the Verbling app. We're just going to get rid of that. Alright, just wanted to finish before I let you go, that there's 3 verbs that, very few actually, I can't think of any more right now, that you can use with either, and they don't have a change in meaning. So those are, haha, I'm just going to tell them to you because I can't seem to do a screen share either. Start, begin, and continue. You can use those 3 with either. So you can say, I started to learn Spanish, or I started learning Spanish. I began learning Spanish. I began to learn Spanish. Or I am continuing to work hard, or I continue to work hard. Those 3 are worth noting down as ones that you can use with both. Now, this is a big topic. I know we've only sort of covered a bit of an introduction to it, but I hope it's helped you. At least you've got a list of some definitive verbs that you can start working on. I don't know what's happened to video. Oh, there we go. Everything's going crazy. Thanks for coming, guys. I'm going to have to finish off now and end this class. If you have any more questions or you want to check out any more verbs, go ahead and write to me on Facebook, and I'll get back to you. And I might consider having another class on the second half of this, using prepositions and objects, because that's also quite a big topic and quite helpful, I feel. So any questions before we go?
No.
No questions.
No?
The Sorry. The thing in this case is to learn to memorize when to use,
Yep.
depending the verb of the verb on the verb.
You should finish the class.
Bye bye.
Hello everybody, welcome to this verbaling class with me. My name is Amy and today's class is part of my series on grammar problems or common grammar difficulties that lots of students have. I've called it Getting a Grip on Grammar Gripes, and today we're going to be looking at the infinitive versus the ing form of the verb. So it can cause a lot of confusion when you have two verbs next to each other. It's easy to figure out the first verb, but the second can often be a source of confusion. So do we use the infinitive form or do we use the ing form? So today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the specific verbs which use either the infinitive or the ing, and talking about these two, so that we can really get some practice in. One of the problems with this topic is that really there's not very many rules to help you. It's a case simply of learning which verbs take the ing and which verbs take the infinitive. And so the purpose of this class is really to identify which is which with the most common verbs in English. If you have questions about specific verbs, then you're very welcome to ask. And what we will do is spend most of the class practicing so that we can get it really right. And when you leave this class, little updates on your Facebook news feed. If you want to find out something a little bit more specific, so if you're interested in attending more of my classes, or if you'd like a private tutoring session, just you and me, one-on-one, or if you can, then you can go to my Verbaling teacher page, which is the second link there. You can do this with any of the teachers, check them out, find out more about them, or even get in touch with us via the messaging feature. You can find all that there, so do go ahead and check those links out when you have time. Okay, let's see who we've got in class this morning, where you are, to talk about the ing versus infinitive, which is a bit of a tense topic for students, I think. Always good to revise this, even if you feel confident already. So who do we have here, first of all? Carlos, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you, Carlos. Now, have I met you before?
No, this is my first time with you in a class.
Well, that's excellent news. I love meeting new students, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Where are you from, Carlos?
I'm from Costa Rica.
Ah, Costa Rica. You know, I don't think I've ever had a student from Costa Rica. You can hopefully go off and at least have a few more of these verbs clear in your mind for the next stage of your English speaking. So, do come along in. If you'd like to join us, we'll be talking about grammar. It's a light-hearted class, not too serious and scary, just so that we can have a bit of a practice with these that can often cause problems, and you can go away feeling a little bit more confident. So do come on in. While we're waiting for the students who've already booked slots, I'll come and say hi to you guys in a moment. I just want to let you know about my Facebook page. That's for Verbaling. It's quite a handy way to keep in touch with teachers here on Verbaling, because if you are a Facebook addict, or even if you just go on your Facebook account now and again, just keep an eye on what's going on here, and it reminds you about English and gets you back in touch with English if you've veered off from the road. You can also see some useful resources. I've got a couple of videos on there which help you speak in a British accent, or some interesting stuff that I find during the week when I'm researching classes and stuff like that. I post on Facebook. Sometimes if a student has done a particularly good piece of writing or shares something really interesting, I'll also put it on there. So if you like me on Facebook, you'll receive all those.
In general, people are friendly. It's one of the best, most known things that my country
Hello.
are.
¿Sí?
Excellent. Okay, thank you for coming to the class. It's lovely to meet you. Welcome. Thank you for telling us a bit about Costa Rica. All right, who else do we have? Raphael, how are you doing today, this evening?
Hi, Amy. I'm fine, thank you. And you? How are you this morning?
This morning, it's 6 minutes past 11. So I actually just had my coffee, which means I'm feeling great, Raphael, for at least 11. The next hour. Yeah.
Having
11.
Coffee at 11?
Yeah. Well, no, I had it probably about 10:30.
It's almost lunchtime.
Yeah, lunchtime. Although for me, lunchtime's going to be just after 1 because I've got 2 classes to teach first. So I had to fill up. I actually had a big Danish pastry as well, which is probably why I'm feeling so great because it was delicious.
I see.
How was your Tuesday?
It was okay. It
All right.
was challenging, tiresome. New things to learn, new things to see, to do. Every day is a new challenge. It's
Costa Rica before, and it's always
Really?
been like the one place I absolutely desperately would love to go in Latin America that speaks Spanish because Brazil is now quite high on my list too. But Costa Rica, what's it like living in Costa Rica?
What? Sorry? What?
What's it like to live in Costa Rica or living in Costa Rica? Haha, that's the topic of today's class.
In
Is
Costa
it
Rica?
a good country to live in?
Well, living in Costa Rica, many retired people from other countries
Hmm.
actually live here because they prefer, but especially in near to the beach in a quiet environment,
Yeah.
they like to live without the big cities that in other countries.
All right. So, what's the best thing about your country, according to you, Carlos?
The best thing, well, the best thing, maybe I think that